Even though Kenya is the third largest travel and tourism economy in Africa after South Africa and Nigeria, the COVID-19 pandemic has seen travel drastically reduce as countries close their airspace and restriction of entry via land and water.
This COVID pandemic, fellow Kenyans, is not only a health crisis, but it is also fundamentally an economic crisis. Jobs have been lost, businesses have had to close, and the economy is generally on a go slow.
Airlines have drastically reduced capacities, with some as Kenya Airways opting to convert some of their passenger aircrafts to cargo flights. But for domestic carriers, business has been minimal after the government in April banned passenger air travel into and out of Nairobi, Mombasa, Kwale and Kilifi counties.
Crisis, unfortunately, has brought everything to pretty much a standstill. We've been quarantining at home, but for today, or for this time, we are able to continue with cargo transport.
The aviation industry is going to, continue suffering, and we've seen governments globally trying to pump in money, to try and save their airlines. And so it's the same thing with Kenya Airways. I think Kenya Airways will continue seeking for support, even as it seeks to, nationalize itself and start a new operation.
The restrictions in travel has driven up unemployment rates, with a significant number of accommodation and catering units scaling down operations for an indefinite period, while others have closed shop altogether.
Tunahofia sisi watu tumeajiriwa tunaenda nyumbani, tukose kitu ya kukula, tunategemea hii kazi.
We are going to see more of this going forward until the world finally finds itself settles with the reality of COVID-19.
Under the economic stimulus program unveiled by President Uhuru Kenyatta, the Kenya Tourism Board received 1 billion shillings for post-COVID tourism marketing, whereas 3 billion was set aside for hoteliers to renovate their premises through the Tourism Finance Corporation in form of soft loans.
From the work done so far is that we shall allow a few restaurants and eateries in selected counties that show the highest levels of health regulation compliance and the ability to arrange for employee testing to undertake minimal operations while maintaining measures that mitigate against the spread of coronavirus.
A further 1 billion shillings was offered for 5,500 community scouts under the Kenya Wildlife Service, as well as 160 community conservationists.
The COVID-19 has really negatively affected these communities, and this might actually go beyond this year to probably an year or two. And any funds that come out of that will support rangers to make sure that wildlife numbers don't go down and natural resources are conserved.
Tourism is the third top foreign exchange earner for Kenya after diaspora remittances and horticulture. Kenya Airways in March requested for 3 billion shillings in government bailout, noting that the airline was losing $500 million shillings as a result of travel restrictions that had seen most of the carrier's aircraft lie idle at JKIA.
That means that in terms of international arrivals, we're not going to see much more international arrivals anytime soon until the aviation industry is open. That means that Kenya's tourism has to depend on domestic tourism much more longer before we see the airspace get open and we see international arrivals.
Eyes will be on the National Treasury CS to see how much he earmarks for tourism marketing post-COVID-19, as well as incentives to hoteliers.
This time round, I don't think there'll be need for wastage. There'll be need for critical thinking and ensuring that monies are put in the right place to stimulate this particular economy. We are not out of the woods yet because of COVID-19, but remember, we're also having economic depression. Global economic depression is coming, and most governments across the world have expressed that the global economic depression might, have a negative impact in the growth of many economies across the world.
Regina Manyara for the 2020-2021 pre-budget.